Fridays from 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. and Saturdays until 12 a.m. Music to keep you entertained, catering services to suit any budget. Let the local eatery at Champion House 2 cater to you by calling 916-5736 or 329-5550 or place your order via Island Grub or the Let's Eat app today.
Roll back. Roll back. Every Wednesday and Thursday, all Rubit stations are rolling back the price on all fuel purchases by 20 cents. Every customer will save 20 cents on every gallon of fuel purchased on Wednesday and Thursday. Every customer. Only at Rubis. Roll back.
Only at participating Rubis service stations.
Live from Star 927 Studios in the center of Cayman's capital city, Georgetown. This is Straight Talk with Ruth Anna.
Good evening, everybody. You are tuned into Straight Talk, brought to you exclusively by Star 92.7 Premium Radio. I am your host, Ruth Anna Young. Always honored to be your host here on Straight Talk every Monday through Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here and nowhere else other than Star 92.7. I missed you guys yesterday, but I am back today, and I am joined in studio by two newbies to the Straight Talk studio. So we do have Who Your Mama Is coming up twice this afternoon after my daily bread. But I am joined by Brian and Shanice from the Cayman Islands National Museum. And so we are going to get to have a fully loaded conversation with them, what they have been up to through the COVID-19 curfews. Like, they have still been hard at work, what they have done since we've come out of lockdown, summer camp, the whole 9 yards. So we're going to get to catch up with them and talk about, what's new, what's hot at the museum. Excited to have this conversation, and of course excited about Who Your Mama Is. 943-3700 is the line in studio. And of course, if talking ain't your thing, you can do one of a few things. You can message me 324-1565 on WhatsApp. You can also email me at straighttalkci@gmail.com. And for those of you who are tuned in via Facebook Live, we are streaming live video from the Star 92.7 Facebook page. And host extraordinaire, Mr. Quincy Brown, thank you. I see you tuned in on Facebook. He says, good evening, Ruth Anna, tuned in from Prospect. Happy to have him around in the stream as always, and always a pleasure to watch him on live stream as well. So you can also leave your comments and questions there in the live stream. But you guys know the deal. Before we go any further into our conversation here on Straight Talk, we always start our time with the reading of today's Daily Bread. So today's Daily Bread is entitled Rivals or Allies, and the scripture comes from 1 Corinthians 1 verse 10 and reads, Be perfectly united in mind and thought. The city of Texarkana sits squarely on the state border between Texas and Arkansas. The city of 70,000 inhabitants has 2 mayors, 2 city councils, and 2 police and fire departments. The crosstown sporting rivalry between high schools draws an uncommonly high attendance, reflecting the deep allegiance each has to their own state's school. More significant challenges arise as well, such as disputes over the shared water system governed by 2 sets of state laws. Yet the town is known for its unity despite the line that divides it. Residents gather annually for a dinner held on State Line Avenue to share a meal in celebration of their oneness as a community. The believers in Corinth may not have drawn a line down their main thoroughfare, but they were divided. They'd been quarreling as a result of their allegiances to those who taught them about Jesus, Paul, Apollos, and Cephas. Paul called them all to oneness in mind and thought, reminding them it was Christ who was crucified for them, not their spiritual leaders. We behave similarly today, don't we? We sometimes oppose even those who share our singularly important belief, Jesus' sacrifice for our wrongdoings, making them rivals instead of allies. Just as Christ himself is not divided, we, as his earthly representation, his body, mustn't allow differences over non-essentials to divide us. Instead, may we celebrate our oneness in him. Thanks be to God for that word today. As always, here on Straight Talk, we remind you, we encourage you to spend time each and every day focused on his word, meditating on his grace and how awesome he is, whether it be the morning or the evening, or right here with me, Monday through Thursday on Straight Talk. With that, I turn these microphones microphones over to the two newbies, Shanice and Brian. And as I mentioned, it's their both for both of them. It's their first time here on Straight Talk, which means I have the privilege and pleasure, ladies, before gentlemen. Shanice, everyone is dying to know who your mama is.
Oh, hello, Cayman. My mom is, well, my mummy is Sherilyn Bush from West Bay. Well, Linda Bush, but most people know her as Sherilyn. And my dad is Lee Macfield. Some people, I don't remember his name, but I'm a Bea. That's all you need to know. I'm a Bea. My dad is, I guess you'd say from town, but he been Bea for years now, so I'm Bea.
And tell us a little bit about yourself. How old are you? What's your background? Your position at the National Museum?
The questions. I am 30 years old. I actually just turned 30 2 weeks ago. And
happy birthday.
Thank you. I've been at the museum since technically 2013, but I guess more so officially since 2015. I am the special events and programs assistant here, and I just love all things Cayman culture and heritage. So that's just something that has drawn, I guess, myself and my colleague to what we do here.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And outside of your resume, I always ask people, do we like cats, skydiving, things? What are a few things you wouldn't otherwise know about you?
Besides taking pictures of other people, I love selfies. Probably love that more. A little vain. Brian does say nothing. And I love baking, especially traditional foods and all the heavy cakes. And natural hair. I'm all things. Yeah, all things. Curly.
Feel free to do a shameless plug. I'm gonna help you out, right? She's being modest. She's an entrepreneur. She's a business owner, and so I think that's more than relevant to share with the listening public about something that you do.
Thanks. I'll save that one for later. But I outside of that, I am, a big political buff, culture buff, history buff. So yeah, I'm nerdy, but you can probably hear me before you see me. So
real West Bay. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Brian, everyone is dying to know who your mama is.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My mom is Carla Watler from Northside. Mom's side of the family is from Northside, and my dad is Brian Watler Sr. from East End. But I am a Northsider. I don't live in Northside anymore, but I still like to say I'm a Northsider. I've been at the museum for 5 years now. Started in 2015 as an intern. Once I graduated in 2016 from university, I started full time. I'm the PR and media design specialist here, so I do all the exhibit work, social media, web design, all those fun stuff.
See, now I know I'm not crazy, right? Quincy Brown agrees with me. So he's tuned in on Facebook. And in the course, I'm going to share some of his other comments later, but he says, I thought they were 19 and 21 years old, respectively. See, Quincy, when Shanice, I know, Brian, I met for a meeting for the first time, like everyone else. And when we were doing our kind of, our little test before we came live on air, and he told me his age, and I was like, here I'm thinking you're like 23, 24, and see, Quincy even beat me. He thought you were 21, right? So
thank you, Quincy.
Yeah, thank you, Quincy. A lady always needs to hear that, especially when you hit the 30s, you start to, some people call us old.
Oh, whatever. Listen, I'm about to be 36 years old, and I just start feeling good. Okay, so y'all just need to stop. But go ahead, Brian. Tell us a little bit more about you. Cat skydiving.
Same with Shanice. I love photography. I love anything creative. What a lot of people may not know about me, besides my immediate family, of course, is that I am an avid airplane collector. I wanted to be a pilot first, and God had other plans. Said, you know what, I want you to do something design related. So that's what I'm doing now.
Okay.
And just for the record, I'm 26. I'll be 27 in 2 days.
Let's hang
He
on
is
to that
29.
as long as we can, right? I'll allow you to do that. That's fine. And Quincy says, "All came on t-shirts." So Quincy, during the course of our conversation, Brian, is that you? Yes, you are you the Brian that does the shirts?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, Quincy, thank you so much for that. Because see, I know, and you told me your mom's name, and it totally went over my head for a second, right? Because, and I see Miss Yvette, who is one of my regular listeners here on Straight Talk, and I'm just going to tell this story. So, Miss Yvette is like, listen, she listens every afternoon unless there is something dramatically wrong. And my birthday last year, she called me and said, "I have something for you for your birthday." And I've known them over the past couple of years now, and you better believe she's like, "What size t-shirt you wear?" Right? And so you better believe part of what I got for my birthday gift from Miss Yvette was one of your beautifully designed Keyman.
Awesome.
Nice.
Right? And it
Proud.
doesn't I'm sorry, I don't even know how that flew over my head like that, because I remember having a conversation with your mom last about if you guys made toddler shirts. And so
Yes.
yes, and so that was my last conversation with her. So now I've well, as in person as it gets in 2020, I've met the guy, I've met the man right behind the shirt. Quincy, thank you for that. So Quincy has put in a few comments into the feed. He put the museum link for brachiology. The museum link for brachiology. And it says Simon Scott, artist from the BRAC, is the featured artist for the month of August virtual art exhibit. Check it out. And he says, "Hi, Shanice and Brian. Big up young Caymanians doing well in culture and heritage." And I already read his comment in relation to thinking you were 19 and 21.
We had
And listen,
people like Quincy to look up to growing up, you know. We had Miss Nasaria. I mean, you name it, we had them all to look up to, and especially the two of us, we were very into theater and stuff as well. So seeing Caymanians actually do that was inspiring to us too. Maybe that's why we're all in this sector anyway.
absolutely. And listen, Brian Quincy got you right in the feed. He put available at Cayman Sense. Purchase your Cayman Islands t-shirts today. Okay.
All right.
Quincy got you.
Quincy is on the ball. Yes.
And of
on
course,
the ball.
that telling me shh with my story on Facebook. But listen, I had to share, Miss Yvette. Come on, I got to meet the guy. I have one of his shoes. I got to meet the guy. But of course, we are here to talk and update everyone on what's going on with the Cayman Islands National Museum. But certainly happy to have this intimate conversation with you guys for the public for those who don't know you, to get to learn a little bit more about you. But in relation, you both have shared, what your titles are at the Cayman Islands National Museum, but you guys have been busy. You want people to know that you are open and that you want them to come on in. And so what were you guys up to during COVID, right? When we were all stuck in our homes and under curfews, and many offices and businesses were shut down. Some might think, they were home relaxing, feet kicked up, coffee, tea, maybe a glass of wine, since y'all are of age now. But the reality is, what were you actually doing during, all the lockdowns and curfews and such? What were you guys up to over at the Cayman Islands National Museum?
Well, I'll just say feet were kicked up, yes, while we worked, because you had all these different spots around the house, the yard sometimes, to work. You take your laptop outside and you try and figure it out. Coffee was much needed because we were still working. But, Brian, you're the star of the show here in terms of COVID,
Right.
in terms of lockdown. He's going to be humble, but just go ahead, Brian.
She's put me on the spot.
Brian, what were you up to during the lockdown period and curfews?
During lockdown, I was assistant GIS with a lot of the COVID-19 related material. Also doing museum work on the side. Our mascot made his debut in lockdown. Musi. I don't know if anyone is familiar with Musi, but Musi was conceptualized back in 2018, but it wasn't until lockdown that he actually made an appearance, and he was just making light of the situation. A lot of the things that Musi said were things that just randomly popped into my head late at night. It was like, maybe I should talk about this. So I would, in a comedic way, just address the situation during lockdown.
Okay, and I want you to tell everyone just a little bit more. So you said that Musi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just we need to make sure everybody understand who Musi is, right? And I know you said he's the mascot, right?
He's right behind
Where would people find Musi? Where would we see?
Musi's on a lot of our signage. He's on our website, social media. You can go onto our Facebook, facebook.com/museum.qa, and our Instagram at museum.qa. He's all over the place now.
Okay, so are you the brains behind Musi?
I'm the brain, the artist, everything behind Musi.
Okay, and I see. I think mommy and aunties are here in the stream. Brian, tuned in this afternoon.
Oh my gosh!
Good afternoon, Miss Carla, and Miss Crystal. Good afternoon. Like the squad is here, Brian. Okay,
Yeah, why?
Always.
Making me even more nervous.
And so what was the why did you guys decide that the museum needed a mascot? What is Musi, like what is and is Musi a he or a she? I'll be honest and say I have not seen Musi yet.
Musi's there's Musi in the background right over there with his little thatch hat. But Musi came about as a means of bringing younger audiences to the museum because
Wait, Brian, hang on a second. Your sister's here. Is it Kelsia? How do you say your sister's name?
Kelsey.
Okay, Kelsey. Okay, just want you to know, sister's here too. So,
Oh,
mommy, auntie, sister's in the building. The squad is here. I'm telling you.
All right, Carla, stop sharing the link now.
All right. So like they're showing their love. They're showing their support.
Yeah.
That's all. Like shout out to the squad. Brian's squad is in the house. We appreciate you. And Miss Carla, please forgive me. It didn't it went over my head for like a full 5 minutes until Quincy goes all in. And I was like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm talking to the guy. But so Musi, tell me what information Musi tends to share with the public and like I feel like Musi need to do kind of like hide and seek, or can we get like a what do you call it, a scavenger hunt with Musi? That's just my
that would be nice.
I want
any ideas you have, shoot them across. But he made light of the situation. A lot of stuff that happened during the press conference, he had a comedic twist on it. And of course, he also shared the different safety protocols and regulations that were going on just to keep people informed. I know we partnered with Foster's at some point. One of the graphics that we did was that we renamed Foster's to Ebankses because there's so many Ebankses in Cayman. So during the lockdown, when they were having the whole last name thing, it was more of a, well, we hope that there's going to be food left after the Ebankses go through because there's so much of them. So things like that is what Musi was doing on social media.
It was very relatable. Even me, like a lot of people ask me, like, is that you behind it? No, I don't have that kind of creative bone, but the personality. Even when I'd see him post some of the things because he'd just do it so quick. Right after the press conference, you look, there's something posted, and he'd say something to me, and I'd be like, oh my gosh. And I would be screaming in my house laughing at Musi because a lot of things were so relatable. The Lysol can that he had out. It was all these different things that it put, a very it made everything you felt more comfortable just looking at it. It really put a nice persona on and light on the whole situation.
That's a good way to look at it. And I want to, one of the other things that I was told you guys did during lockdown and such. So many of us may know, at least up until our generation, would be at least semi-familiar with conch blowing, and I am not highly skilled in that department, but I certainly have people in my family who are. I try every once in a while. But you guys rolled out a project in relation to conch blowing signals, right? Tell me a little bit about that.
I actually don't know much about that one. I think that was Mr. Ray Banker that was involved with that one with Radio
And
Cayman.
and Mr.
Right.
Deal Ebanks as well.
Mm.
And they
And
did,
Mr.
yes.
Mr.
Right,
Deal,
they did the signaling.
yes, and Mr. Deal has
The lungs
actually,
that you gotta have for that,
yes,
because I know I can't.
because Mr. Deal has done it on the show, right? When
Mhm.
Mr. Deal came here before the agriculture show with his gigs, his beautifully made gigs, and talked about all the things he was going to be teaching at the agriculture show. But he also brought one of his conch shells that helped me close out the show with that, and did a whole, like, he sounded the conch and gave a little bit of history on how it was used and why it was used, and things of the sort. But I know that they did do like media rounds and shared on radio, and I think there was even some implementation into like some of the phone ringtones over the conch shells, which was something that came out of the National Museum during the lockdowns, right? And you guys did a number of like previews and
Mhm.
collections. What were you, in terms of collections, were you guys able to share any of the, like, what were some of the virtual things that you guys, were able to share during the lockdown period?
Well, before lockdown, we were actually trying to photograph a bunch of our artifacts in our collection to make accessible. I think we managed to get a few online. So if you go into our website, you'll see there's also our Ira Thompson collection, which is our nucleus collection here at the museum.
Mhm.
That's available online. But in terms of events and virtual things that we had going on, we had International Museum Day, the 18th of May, and we did a virtual reveal of our Miss Anna Hilda Bodden animatronic. If you know Miss Anna Hilda Bodden, she was a well-known political figure, and she was, if I'm not mistaken, the first female law agent here in Cayman. And that exhibit was sponsored by Water Authority. I think because of her instrument, the role she played in the development of Water Authority. That was one, and then we have, of course, the Doran Miller's Upon the Seas documentary that we also made available to children during the lockdown, and that's actually still up. We were going to do that till May 2020, but we extended that because so many people enjoyed it.
Awesome. What's the museum website?
Museum.ky, www.museum.ky.
I'll post that in the feed just so people have it, that they can visit it as well. If you've never been to the museum website, now would be a good time to seize an opportunity like that, to see all of what they offer on the website, because you have, over the course of this, like many other organizations, have had to figure out, how do we make our information, at least what you can, accessible to the public and to the community via virtual means. You guys did also add some of your educational resources onto the museum website in terms of PowerPoints and PDFs as well. If you could just share, what were some of from an educational standpoint, what were some of the resources that you added to the website, because you guys were busy during lockdown. Make no mistake.
Miss Deborah Barnes-Sabor and I, we were working a lot on the educational material. So we have a bunch of things on the coat of arms, what the symbols represent, because you would be surprised how many young people don't even know what the lion or the stars represent on the coat of arms. So those are some of the activities we have for kindergarten straight up until high school. Plat and how to plat, shipping, our dialect, you name it. We have it all up there on our website.
And a lot of adults were actually looking at those resources as well, because, we all, in addition to what we do here, we always have people coming in, personal messaging us or something. Hey, I'm trying to get this information on this or that, and can you help me figure out what was this called before? And during lockdown, we realized a lot more things need to be virtual. And thankfully, there were some resources that we did have, and even to like our home collections of books and stuff that we could rely upon, just to be able to give the general public information. Kids were still working on projects and stuff. So, just, it was everybody had more downtime as well. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people had more downtime. So things like, learning more about culture and heritage, reading more books. People were really trying to get into it, and that's where we kind of came into play with a lot of stuff as well, trying to supply people with things even though we weren't open.
Right. And I just went on the educational resources section of the museum website, and I was greeted by it says, Lookia. Lookia is a family friendly event that highlights the cultural achievements of each of Grand Cayman's 5 districts and sister islands. Are you guys still, and it indicates that, each month one district is featured showing off their artistic products and food and etc. Is that something that's still ongoing, or is that a non-COVID time? Events?
Well, Lookia is more of like a market type event. And we are trying to find ways to make things a little bit more virtual. But of course we had to consider the safety of, staff and everyone as well. So, and a lot of the people that we do get to participate in our markets, right, they're seniors. So we didn't want to put them at any further risk, especially in the first wave of opening back up, the first phases. So we're trying to work on those events, but we do have things like speaker series and some other ones that will be more virtual and digital that will be accessible to all.
So we have our past speaker series lectures on our website as well, under our video archive.
On YouTube and stuff as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can see those, and you'll see those sometimes on GIS.
Correct. And Ms. Carla just posted a link, which if you haven't clicked on it, you should. It's one of Musi dancing. Right. And it says 1, 2. I can't, of course, because I'm on air, I can't listen to the audio behind it, but the title says, and it's on the Cayman Islands National Museum Facebook page, and it says 1, 2, 3 down, 5, 6, 7 up. I might be old by a cold, getting my groove on to some old school soca, and I stay home and exercise. Oh my gosh. So now we know what Brian was up to during lockdown, right? And so that's funny. I gotta tell you, that's hilarious. And so that's some of the stuff that you guys have been up to. There is also the Cayman Islands Maritime Heritage Maps that the museum launched on the website. And was that a new product for you guys, or just new to the website?
That's new to the website. I think the Maritime Heritage Trail was launched before Hurricane Ivan, but during the lockdown we made it accessible. So we have a whole web page on the Grand Cayman Maritime Heritage Trail, which is museum.ky/Maritime Heritage Trail. And then we have the Sister Islands Maritime Heritage Trail, which you can also find right under the Grand Cayman Maritime Heritage Trail.
Awesome. And also something that I think is quite notable when it comes to government-related entities. You guys did complete your 2019 audit by the required deadline. So that is something that is applaudable for the National Museum. I know that as finances and financial health and audits of the different departments and affiliated organizations for the government are always under very much scrutiny. The National Museum was one of the organizations that did meet the 2019 audit deadline. So hats off to the team at the National Museum. And I know you guys also, as much as we don't like to think about it, because 2020 has been a lot so far, we are in the midst of hurricane season. And so if we really stop, the National Museum is very exposed. And in depending on which direction a hurricane may come from, something that I guess is of concern to all of us. But you guys have your essential workers, and you guys have gone through your hurricane exercises already, correct?
Yeah,
right.
And the museum in itself is an artifact, so for us that's crunch time as well, trying to make sure that we protect the building and the artifacts that are inside of the building as well.
And so that's a tall order for you guys. But we are shortly heading out to our first break. Now, when we come back, I want to talk about, what you guys have done and continue to do for the reopening of the museum. And I know you guys just finished summer camp, so we're going to talk about that as well. By all accounts, hands were full. To say the least. But so people want to know, as we close out the summer in particular, and people are continuing to look at ways to continue to educate themselves and find things to do on the island, as until travel's a thing again. The places like the National Museum continue to be thankfully of increased interest to the general public. So we're going to talk about all of that when we come back from the break. But we'll be gone for about 2 minutes and a little bit of change. But we have lots more conversation to have with these two lovely young Caymanians, with Brian's squad out on Facebook here. So keep it locked for some more Straight Talk on Star 92.7.
On the conversation, the phone lines are now open. 943-3700. You can also find us on Facebook or email us at straighttalkci@gmail.com.
Reintroducing an old favorite and the only local family dining experience in Cayman. Champion House 2 have joined forces with the local eatery and is now open with a diverse food and adult beverage offering. Join us during the week for our buffet breakfast or lunch, or de-stress weekends on Fridays from 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. and Saturdays until 12 a.m. Music to keep you entertained, catering services to suit any budget. Let the local eatery at Champion House 2 cater to you by calling 916-5736 or 329-5550, or place your order via Island Grub or the Let's Eat app today.
This and every Tuesday, Coral Beach heads off for Latin Sunset with DVJ Carter, dropping the best Latin beats from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Special guests, salsa, and dance performances weekly. Food and drink happy hour specials from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. For table reservations and cabana bookings, contact bookings at coralbeach.ky. Enjoy our Latin Sunset with DVJ Carter this and every Tuesday from 5 p.m. at Coral Beach.
In this time of crisis, we are right here to help keep the power on.
We are here to serve you. We are committed to ensuring that you have electricity. Without electricity, not many things will work.
We are right here to help keep the power turned on.
We are CUC. You can count on us.
There are few things in Cayman that are as iconic as the 2 for $6 deal at Burger King, with the possible exception of our wonderful marine life. Well, possible exception no more. The Big Fish Sandwich has just joined the other stars of 2 for $6. You heard right. Choose from the iconic Whopper, Crispy Chicken Sandwich, Spicy Crispy Chicken Sandwich, and now the Big Fish, and get 2 sandwiches for just $6. Hurry, for a limited time only. Available at Burger King 7 Mile Beach, Waterfront, Walkers Road, and Red Bay.
Welcome back to Straight Talk with Ruth Anna on Star 927.
We are back, folks, and you are tuned into Straight Talk, brought to you exclusively by Star 92.7 Premium Radio. I am your host, Ruth Anna Young, joined this afternoon by Shanice and Brian from the Cayman Islands National Museum. They are here to give us a quick update, well, quick in the context of an hour, and it's a good opportunity because to be honest, I'm not sure if I've had representation from the National Museum more than one other time before here on Straight Talk in the last few years. So to me, this is a little more than a catch up, I think, for the audience. I think I'm sure that many of the members of the audience are acquiring information for the first time about the National Museum and all that you guys have to offer, in addition to specifically what you've been up to over the last few months during lockdowns, curfews, COVID. 943-3700 is the line in studio. You can also WhatsApp me at 324-1565 or email me at straighttalkci@gmail.com. And we are also streaming live video from the Star 92.7 Facebook page. Feel free to join us there. I know that Mr. Quincy Brown is definitely locked in and sharing some very useful links on the Facebook feed where people can have direct access, especially to the parts that pertain to the BRAC, right? He wants to make sure that people know how to find the information on the BRAC. Okay. But you guys have reopened. And when did you guys reopen? When did the museum reopen?
what was it, the 20th, July 20th, I think.
It was the
And
20th, yeah.
the gift shop opened the 20th of
Mhm.
July, and
Oh,
then
my
the museum opened up the 23rd for the general public, the entire museum then. We are open Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we've given ourselves that extra buffer of time just for extra sanitization. So, you know, outside of all the staff wearing masks and visitors wearing masks at all times, there's numerous sanitization stations all around the museum. We have wayfinding signs as well as floor decals that can help with the flow of the museum so that you can eliminate as much contact as possible, as well as helping guide you with social distancing and things like that. So we also have a temperature scanner. It's not a toy, but it can be kind of fun to go and check your temperature each day.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot for people to see, but we're making sure that, like with the plexiglass and stuff, that you can pass your items through and eliminate contact, still be safe, shop and experience without as much of the risk as possible.
Awesome. So you guys, like most other places, have rolled out a full set of rules, regulations, precautions to protect yourselves as well as the general public, as we are still very much in the midst of managing this global pandemic. And we know that, I think one of the things that I think about, especially with places like the National Museum, as we, look forward to what is inevitable, which is the reopening of borders. I think these conversations become even that much more critical, even though we are not looking to start off with invitation to mass tourism. We will eventually start to re-invite visitors into our shores and into the country, under certain regulations. And as time goes on, I beg to say that we are going to still be having to manage COVID-19, even when we get to a phase of some degree of stay over tourists, because to me, COVID-19 is kind of like the flu in that I don't expect it to just disappear. I expect the world to learn to manage it, is my expectation. So given those things and knowing that, of course, during this time, we want the local community to learn and benefit as much as is humanly possible from what the National Museum has to offer in a way. And I'm sure like more than we ever have, as people look to staycation and as we're not traveling and those sorts of things. So we are getting to re-experience these gems in our country once again. But so it's important now, but more important as we look down the line to reopening of borders. So the National Museum has put a whole host of protective and safety measures in place to protect themselves and the general public through all of this. And so it is a safe environment, as you can expect during a time like this, because they have rolled out all of the necessary safety precautions. And you guys have there have been a number of changes, because you said you are open Monday to Friday. So prior to these changing hours during this time, you guys were open on Saturday, and you used to have a special Saturday each month, which is now a Monday. If you could tell everyone just a little bit about the free Monday, when that is, and what people get for free.
Okay, so before we used to have the first Saturday of every month was free to residents, and now we have that on a Monday since we are closed on Saturdays. And this is just, although the cost for the museum is already fairly low, it allows people to come in, and if money is the issue for someone, or maybe you have a big family, it just isn't in the budget, whatever the case is, you can come through. And a lot of people we have more time, and we generally change all of our exhibits every year. So, well, not all of our exhibits, but our changing exhibits, because we do have permanent exhibits like the Natural History Gallery and the Cultural History Gallery. And there's always something new to learn whenever you come to the museum. Even sometimes we're going in there doing tours with kids, and I'm like, oh, I never really noticed that before, you know. And of course, everyone has a different perspective on things. So you're asking different questions. You're noticing other things. So it's always interesting to see. Some of the exhibits that we have right now, Mr. Alvin McLaughlin, we have that's steeped in tradition. So that talks about Mr. Alvin and the significant contributions that he's made to Caymanian society. And we have the Cayman Airways exhibit, which is highlighting the history of how many years again, Brian?
I think it's around 52 now, but it was doing 50. And Mr. Quincy would find that exhibit in particular very interesting because it starts with Cayman Brac Airways and makes its way into Cayman Airways.
Yes,
and we also have the coat of arms exhibit as well, and that goes into the history of the coat of arms, explaining what each part of the coat of arms represents and exactly how we came to have a coat of arms, the process of selecting a coat of arms, and all of the exhibits are really good because a lot of times we might see, you know, a headline in passing or something, but the exhibits go into more detail. So I definitely tell anybody, and not just because I work at the museum, but because they are really interesting. And Brian has designed a lot of them, or has had a lot to do with the design. And of course, his graphics are always, they can get me to look at a lot of stuff.
Well, like but you know what? That's important, and we say it lightly, but in all the many distractions that we face in the world today, the reality is we have to find, like, it is the things that catch our eye that we are going to pay attention to, right? So Brian and his what seems like many skills come in handy to get people to pay attention to what the museum is doing and the exhibits and displays that you have there, and you know, as well as you look at an enhanced website that you continue to add more tools and information to for the public to visit and be able to access information virtually, depending on, because one of the things that I thought of as you guys talked about enhancing the website and whatnot during lockdown, and now I consider myself fortunate that during this time I have my daughter, but she's not school age, so I did not have to fight that battle that so many parents so valiantly tackled, of trying to homeschool kids and keep them entertained and do projects and all those sorts of things. And so when you were talking about that, I said, oh, what an amazing resource the National Museum website must have been, a source of entertainment and education for those of us, because and I'm sure that parents learned in the process of teaching their kids.
Yes.
And I think that having, as I've gotten the chance during our conversation of gone to different segments of your website, of the National Museum website, admittedly for the first time.
It's okay. Better late than never.
I've been to the museum on a couple of occasions. Now it's been a while, so I'm due for another visit. But I cannot say this is the first time I've started to browse through the website, and you guys have really put some incredible resources on there and I think it continues separate and apart from COVID. We're just in a world where we need to be able to access information and resources virtually. And as we continue to try to hang on to our heritage and our culture and who we are as a people and what it means to be, the Cayman Islands and all of those, little bits and pieces, to be able to sit at home and share this with our kids and families and use some of the fun resources between social media and your website. I think that's incredible that you guys are evolving in the way with the help of talented young Caymanians like yourself, right? And so I appreciate the work that you guys are doing, truly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's the thing, kids are all, we're visual learners. So if something's not appealing visually to us, it's hard for us to digest. So that does help in the process. I can explain to Brian what I think we should have, and Brian makes it happen. So he's the real talent here. But it's definitely something a lot of kids don't go outside as much as they used to, right? They're on their tablets and everything else. Everything is digital for them. kids don't like the sand because they've never been outside to know what things, so we have to learn to adapt with things. Yes, you really have to learn to adapt and be more inclusive of just everyone in that sense. So we are always constantly striving to be more inclusive and always as possible. So yeah.
All right, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to read a comment that just came in via WhatsApp and take a phone call. I have a listener that says, "Good evening. So inspiring to hear the contributions to from you three valuable Caymanians." Thank you to the listener, another very regular listener of Straight Talk. I appreciate her so much, and she sent love in your direction. And Miss Carla says, "The dream team," Carla Michelle. And so I'm going to take it to the phone lines. Welcome to Straight Talk. What's on your mind today?
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Taxman. How are you?
Good afternoon to the two wonderful young people there.
Good afternoon.
To see young people interested in our history and trying to do their best to preserve it and bring forth new things. We show it up better. I wondered, I know some years ago, not too long, the Sarah Sekou Solet, she did a video here at St. James House or Pedro Castle about the trial of Long Celia, famous slave woman, or lady, I should say. And I just wondered, I know the video is there because I helped her to get it arranged and get it done here in the dining room, the second floor of the old St. James House. And I just wondered what year it was that she was tried. It was 1823, if you might know now. And I think they found out her last name because she was owned by one of my great granduncles, Thomas Knowles Eden. And I don't know if she carried the Eden name. Sometimes slaves, it sounds so indifferent, and Carlos was talking about ancestors like this, but they used the name of the person who owned them, any of them, Eden slaves and others, and or a good friend of the family that they had respect for. They might have their name, so forth and so on. I just wondered if they found out her name and like how old she was if you had arrived at that. If you know anything about it, either of you do. I guess you've seen the video.
Yes, sir. I don't remember the exact details right now, but I do know that it would have been in the 1860s.
Can you hear, Taxman?
I can't hear. No.
Okay, she said that she doesn't know the exact date, but But what I can say is that I've on the website, according to the website in the section that has the video reenactment that you must be referring to, it does say that it was 1820 court hearing. Her court hearing was in 1820. That's the
1820.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I thought it was either 21 or 23, but then you're right. So she would have checked that, and if she did. It did show a surname for her. I mean, Long Celia, we know she was Celia, and she was called Long Celia because she was very tall. And that's the Caribbean way of doing things, as you know. If you're tall, it's a long, and so forth.
Well, and based on what I've found so far in a brief search, it does not give her last name yet. But if I happen to, if I'm able to find that shortly, I will share it before we exit the radio broadcast.
The other thing I was just saying, if you look it up on the found it, if and maybe her age, something close to what, maybe it was an approximation or so. But at that time, they would have those things pretty well recorded by then. But I know she was tried by Judge Drayton, John Drayton, and it's more than Drayton, and you'll know about that from it. I just wondered if they found out about it, her name or so forth. You mightn't find it by the end of your show, but I could give you my phone number when you call me.
Yes, let me.
I'll give you my number right now.
Yes, go ahead, Taxman.
It's 916 3571 3571.
All right. So I will see if I can't find it myself, I'll see if anybody else
I'm
has
curious.
it.
As I said, she was owned by one of my great granduncles, Thomas Nosey. But I just wondered about it, what her name, because she became very, very, and I think she should be on O'Hiva Square, definitely.
Agreed. And so if I can't find it on my own, I will ask the assistance of the National Museum Dream Team to see if that information is anywhere available or maybe
that's her name and probably her age. But you give me a good part of my question already by saying it was 1820.
Yes, that
It
was
wasn't sure whether it was 2021 or 23.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
So much, Taxman. Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Good to hear from you.
Best of luck to you all, young people. It's so wonderful hearing your interest in our history. It's so important now, and especially at this time when we're becoming a forgotten people and generational came in and thought.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. You too.
And so I will see if I can find that information for the Taxman to the benefit of us all in a quick search. But otherwise, I'm going to reach out to this Dream Team to see if it's just that the information is available but not readily available, or if that's part of history that we don't know, or she just became known as Long Celia. But thank you, Taxman, for what is going to be a very interesting question to try to dive
I'm sure Mr. Roy Barton knows. So
yeah,
and it's probably one of the founded upon the seas as well. So make sure and
we'll do some digging, right?
Yep.
And a couple other things. So you have instead of your first free Saturday being free, you have your first free Monday being free. Do people have to, for tours and such, do people have to book a space, or can they just show up?
They can just show up and go straight into our gift shop, and the ladies in the gift shop will help you from there. The guided tours, those are pre-booked because either usually myself or Brian, we have other staff members that do them, but we're typically the ones that do the tours for kids or the tourism ambassadors. We do have a few that pre-book and they, sometimes they're, look, we need a guided tour because we can't handle this on our own, even though it's fairly easy. I mean, you can go around and stuff, but sometimes people just want that person there to give them a little bit of extra information and go a little bit more in depth.
Don't be surprised when I show up soon, right? And I'm gonna say, special request, can I have 2 tour guides, please?
You can do that.
One tour guide is inadequate. My mom is tuned in via Facebook, says, and I think this is to our earlier comment about feet in the sand. She says, nowhere like outside in the sand and the dirt. Real OS.
Yes. Family.
I'm telling you, real OS there. And so you guys, you can pre-book the tours or show up at the gift shop and do a self-guided tour. And in the gift shop, the National Museum is also the authorized distributor for the Cayman flag and the coat of arms and the protocol products. So give us an idea of like what's available in the museum shop. Give us some of it's been quite some time since I've been in there. So what are some of the things that people can purchase in the museum shop?
A lot of things. I mean, we have from jewelry to locally made soaps, artisan soaps, and a lot of presents that you can there's always something to buy for someone. I mean, we have books from Caymanian authors that not only depict our history and culture, but also photographic depictions as well for just
We
beautiful
have
photography. Yes, prints,
Mhm.
cards, so many different things to see in there. You can get your flags. A lot of university students get various size flags in there to take back with them. And some of my favorite items outside of the books, by like Mr. Bodden and our other history books, I love the silver thatch products. So we have hats made from silver thatch, Caymanite, bags made from silver thatch, and they're all made by local artisans. And there's only about 10, maybe 10
Maybe less.
of our local artisans that still know how to thatch. And
That's scary.
Yes, it is. And that's kind of something that, we strive to teach the younger generations as well. But you can buy you can support local, not just from us, but also by when you purchase something from us, you're putting into the hands of these local artisans that it's a dying craft, and we need to make sure to correct that.
It is. And I know, just quickly before we get to the end of the show, I know you mentioned you guys just wrapped up the summer camp for yet another year. How did that go? Tell us about, the summer camp that you guys just wrapped up at the National Museum. Because, although one just wrapped up, summer will come around yet again.
Yes, and parents are already asking about it.
And the kids wanted 2 weeks.
Yes.
But it was enjoyable. It's enjoyable every year. This year we focused on the maritime heritage of Cayman. So we went to sites like the East End Lighthouse. We went to the Wreck-It Sail Park. We went to Turtle Center. We went snorkeling. We went kayaking in the mangroves. We did a lot of outdoor activities this year.
Yes.
And we were very thankful to have our director, Dr. Peggy Leshiker-Denton, with us for the full week this year. She is a marine archaeologist. So she led a lot of our archaeologist sessions, the Wreck-It Sail sessions, the snorkeling session. And she also wrote a book on the Wreck-It Sail that's available in our gift shop.
Yes.
If anyone is interested in that topic.
Awesome. Thank you guys very much.
In the previous years, just to add really quickly, in the previous years, because we relaunched the summer camp, it's called Immerse. So you're basically immersing in our culture and heritage. And each year there's a different theme. So we relaunched it in 2017 with the new name, and we decided that we wanted things related to all different aspects. So there's maritime, we have natural history. And then last year, in 2019, we did traditions. So kids got to have locally made food. They learned how to make, some of these local dishes. Some of them that I taught them how to make. Brian was, we were all teaching them how to thatch. We had some local artisans teaching them how to thatch, rope making, traditional dance, music. So you really get a lot out of these camps because we try to make them as Caymanian as possible. So not only are you getting taught by young and old Caymanians, you're doing Caymanian things. And a lot of people want to say that, oh, we don't have our own culture and heritage, but they're so wrong. We have, even though that we've adapted these different parts of different cultures, we've made them our own, and we have our own unique heritage, and that's something that we really believe that we have to preserve. So we're really glad that we get to do programs like the summer camp, because not only we love working with kids, and this allows us that opportunity to pass on what we do, make it fun, draw in that younger generation, and hopefully they'll one day, be taken over for Mr. Brian and Miss Shanice and hopefully feeding us at the camps, because they can eat. They came back for second and thirds, and Miss Shanice, Mr. Brian, can I have some more? I don't blame them. It's all local food, all made by traditional people. So it was good.
Oh Lord, I already counting down for Christmas. Now, granted, I'll make beef like any time of year, but you put extra love in it.
Loving it at Christmas. Yes.
Oh my word. I like I even talking about it and I'm like, and Miss Crystal Whitaker Silburn says, "Woohoo! Ghost Shanice, you guys are both awesome." I think that's part of Brian. She's part of Brian's squad, right? This is Auntie. Yes. But Brian, final thoughts from you. Just 30 seconds before we close out the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having us. We appreciated being here and sharing this bit about our own personal experiences during lockdown, after lockdown, before lockdown. And we look forward to welcoming visitors to the National Museum because there's so much that we have to offer. And
Awesome.
Come on over.
Thank you both so much. I look forward to seeing you guys very soon. And thank you for all those who tuned in and called in and sent your comments. We appreciate you. And I look forward to having you both back. Let this not be the last time and keep me updated on what's going on at the National Museum. But guys, it's 6 o'clock on the button, which means I'm out of here. Back again tomorrow at 5 o'clock sharp for some more Straight Talk right here on Star 92.7.
For the island.